the people we are mandated to help. We want to fulfill our mandate given to us by the General Assembly. If we're not able to fulfill that mandate, that will fall. That responsibility will fall to the people who have the authority over occupied lands.
It's not allowed to use it.
Thank you, Steph. Going back to Ms. Quintana.
I didn't know that. I thought it's supposed to be used for
Will her
tethering.
team be doing actual excavations of graves and DNA identification?
It's a very good question. We'll put you in touch with her office. You can answer that. Margaret Bashir.
Thanks. I believe the Israeli ambassador
You received
replied
a
to
video?
the Secretary General
No, we're
today,
not
perhaps.
receiving video from you.
And in the letter, he says that they aren't occupying Gaza. So I suppose that means they're not planning to provide assistance. So if they don't step up and the UN has to step back, what's going to happen?
Look, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals, but I think one could all imagine. I mean, I think we're not looking to shirk our responsibilities. We're not looking for fights. We are looking to keep working on our mandate. We are looking to keep helping the Palestinian civilians. We need to help. We are mandated to help with food, with health, with education. And we hope that we will be able to continue to do
You
that.
are securing the connectors.
Linda.
What? Nothing.
I just have a rather, hopefully it won't be boring housekeeping question.
The thing
As
is,
long as it doesn't involve mechanical stairs.
removing.
No, I understand.
Tell me. Drones? No.
So I will
Can you just give
put
us
the
any
flap
update in
on the
terms
flat
of the
surface
SG's holiday
and flat
plan?
surfaces facing each other,
And if
Lear
at this
Eclipse
juncture, if you
will
assume
be
that he'll be going to Washington.
facing
if
Okay,
outside.
I don't have any updates for you on those.
Yes, because we want to secure
travel
the
plans.
life lab.
The Secretary General will spend.
While we wait for the resumption of a downlink TV signal from the International Space Station, you're listening to the interpreted conversations between Russian flight controllers there in Korolyov outside of Moscow, who are in the Russian Mission Control Center,
quickly, and then
and
Abdelhamid.
Yes, very quick
Alexei
follow-up. Will the
Ovchinin and
SG
Ivan
have
Wagner
to visit
working
Damascus
outside the
in a short
station,
time?
working to secure a series of connector patch
Abdelhamid,
panels
then we'll
to
go to our
locations
guest
on these
in
Vesda
Jerusalem, who's
service
been very
modules.
patient.
Today's spacewalk
Thank you,
is 2
Stefan.
hours
Israel
and
has been
15 minutes in
bombing
duration,
critical
as
areas,
the
especially
cosmonauts are continuing
energy
to work very
stations in
close
Yemen.
to the timeline on a
Statement
variety of
of that.
tasks that will also
We're very
include
concerned about
the
the
removal of a series of
about the
material
exchange
science and
of
biological
missiles
samples
that we've seen
experiments from
between the Houthis,
the vicinity of the
Israel,
hoist module of the space-facing
Houthis
side of the
launched
Russian
missiles
segment
at
of the
Israel. One
station,
of them hit,
and the
a
relocation
school,
of a control panel
in
for the
central
European
Israel. We've
robotic
seen
arm that is
Israel,
attached to
launch
the
missiles
Naoka multi-purpose
at,
laboratory
ports
module.
and other facilities in Yemen, which led to fatalities, and what we understand, destruction of a number of infrastructure. This is all part of a very dangerous escalation, which frankly worries us. We would like to see de-escalation, and we would like to see a return to the support of all the parties to the work of Mr. Grunberg. And I do expect a fuller statement on this issue later today. Okay, we will go to our guest. Yorgos, are you still with us and patient? Can you put it on the screen? There you go. Thank you for your, Yorgos, thank you so much for your patience. As mentioned, Yorgos Petropoulos is the head of OCHA's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, and he is sub-office in Gaza, and he is joining us from Jerusalem to brief us on the situation. So please go ahead, and then we'll take some questions.
Okay, thank you, Stefan, and good afternoon.
I'm taking a video.
I woke up this morning. I was actually in Rafah in Gaza, in the UN office where my colleagues and I stay, in something resembling safety, while we assist Palestinians through the 14th month of these horrific atrocities in this terrible war. I say resembling safety because the brutal truth is that nowhere is actually safe in Gaza. We've said this many times before. We've said it since the start. It remains true, and I think it may well be the most dangerous place on earth right now. You could be a mother of 6, you could be an injured person who's just been amputated in hospital, an aid worker, a small child, a Palestinian teacher, or an Israeli hostage. And dying hungry and in pain are frighteningly likely for you these days in Gaza. We're there to support over 2 million people who for more than 14 months have struggled to stay alive, to uphold their dignity and that of their families. Each day they try to secure the most basic necessities, food, shelter, and now quite literally attempting to just stay alive. But we're not allowed to do our job. Whether our response is impactful, as it should be, cannot continue to be measured in the number of trucks that reach Gaza, but in whether people are safe from hunger, rain, disease, and if they have access to proper and appropriate healthcare facilities, protection, and even to safe drinking water. These days, what manages to cross into Gaza and actually get to the people that it's supposed to get to is a mere trickle compared to what it used to be before the war and even in the first few months of this war. The opportunities for sustainable supplies are scarce, and the degree to which our operations in the Gaza Strip are supported by the Israeli authorities is almost zero. As the occupying power, it imposes blanket prohibitions on nearly everything. Commercial imports have been banned. Humanitarian equipment and supplies for Gaza are consistently blocked, and our own movements inside the Gaza Strip are most often denied. In most areas, people's mere presence is a defiance against military orders for forcible evacuation or displacement. Israeli authorities and military seem unwilling to open multiple access points at once, which is important for the amount of supplies that we have. And the main crossing from southern Gaza, which has most of the people in the strip, Kerem Shalom, is exactly the place where criminals now stand ready to loot almost all of our convoys. This looting has become armed, it's become violent, and it's systematic. Time and again, drivers are assaulted, injured, hospitalized, and sometimes even killed. Even the warehouses of NGOs in the UN have now come under attack. We've tried speaking with those that target these convoys, as well as whole communities, but we are not able to solve the problem of the absence of rule of law at this point. It's just gotten too big for humanitarians to solve. We've called repeatedly for improvements, such as the prevention of cigarette smuggling, but it doesn't seem to be having any resonance. When we raise these things with Israeli authorities, they reject virtually every single practical solution that we table. They don't want to use border scanners to intercept cigarette smuggling. They continue to target the civilian police inside Gaza. We've talked about this in the past. They deny alternative routes for our supply convoys, which would let us reach people in bulk and sustainably. And they don't allow the importation of the private sector, which could reduce prices and discourage looting. Everything in Gaza, every single thing you bring on the truck is now high value. So this is something that really makes people want to take whatever is on the truck because either they need it or they're going to sell it to get money.
The disconnection and reconnection
on the occasions when our activities are allowed to move ahead by the Israeli forces, our operations face direct interference. They order us not to deliver fuel to certain locations, to generators, hospitals, or to shelter sites, not to carry out parts of our planning that they disapprove of, and to operate only in the designated areas that do not have evacuation orders. From where we are in Gaza, it looks like the aid system has been weaponized. And as a result of this, what we can provide to people is only a fraction of what they truly need. Every day, as an aid worker in Gaza, we're forced to make horrible decisions. Should I let people die of starvation or of the cold? Do we bring in more food to ease hunger or more plastic sheets for some shelter from the rain at night? Do I cut back on hygiene supplies? Or do I bring in more painkillers for the sick and injured? What I can tell you is that people are exhausted. You can see it with your own eyes, you can see it when you look at them in the hospital, on the street, as you drive by them, when you meet them, when you talk to them. Famine is very likely already here. The Famine Review Committee 42 very long days ago called for immediate action within days, not weeks, yet here we still are.
Then we won't be
Those
able
who have survived so far are on the brink of an even greater disaster. As a humanitarian system, even we operate hand-to-mouth. When we have to distribute almost immediately. We don't have any reserves or buffer stocks left anymore. A very large percentage of the important emergency medical supplies are just at zero stock. What we bring in is never near enough. When Rafah crossing closed, when the operation began, we were able to continue for more than 3 weeks to respond without any new supplies coming in. Now, if we don't get supplies for 3 days, we don't have the ability to help anyone in Gaza. We can't go 3 days without fuel or food actually entering the street. Our humanitarian operations, especially in southern Gaza, are almost paralyzed because of this. In Gaza City, in northern Gaza, we can't support people because we don't have predictable accessibility between the south and the north. The Israeli corridor bisecting the strip has been fortified to such a degree that it's not really a corridor anymore. It's a massive military no-go zone where not a single civilian structure remains intact. Everything has been flattened. And to reach Gaza City from the south, we have to cross this no-go zone, but we don't have predictable access through the Israeli checkpoints. They're not open enough. And there are massive amounts of time spent simply waiting for them to decide to open. There's been a lot of talk about the besieged areas in North Gaza Governorate. It's been 75 days since military operations began there or intensified, and that's a near total siege for everyone that's there. We think there are between 30 to 50,000 people in the North Gaza Governorate that are remaining there and have not been forced to displace to Gaza City. We receive chilling reports of mass casualties, unspeakable decimation of whole towns and communities and neighborhoods, and constant bombardment of shelters and hospitals. Movement is only allowed in one direction, out, and even that is not a secure movement. So far, tens of thousands have had to flee under bombing and shooting. For us, the access into this area has been choked off since the 6th of October. Almost 150 requests or attempts to access the area have been denied by the Israeli forces.
From the other side,
in exceptional circumstances, such as the ones for the 2 remaining medical facilities, we're allowed in, and we use that to bring in a trickle of supplies. Many of those supplies, when we plan these missions, are rejected by the Israeli forces, so we can say we're bringing in fuel and medicine and some food for the patients, and they will consistently remove the food or this or that. So they minimize what the objective of the mission is, how much we can bring and when we can bring it. We've managed a single food delivery to North Gaza, 2 trucks, and 1 truck of water actually with them. And where we took these trucks, we actually then heard that the shelter, the lunar school that was being used was actually attacked and burnt down. We heard about another location where people were sheltering. And when we planned a supply mission there, the Israeli military denied our access, and then the location sheltering people were forcibly displaced to Gaza City. You know, I mean, as the humanitarian system, you heard Stefan earlier before me, we assist millions of people in other responses, and we have done so for decades. We can do the same in Gaza if one hand is not consistently tied behind their back.
Give me a second.
I think as journalists, we know that international press is banned from Gaza to enter and see what I'm describing firsthand. There's so many things that I wish you could see to tell the world what's happening. You know, children without shoes in the cold, running through garbage and mud next to plastic shelters just being swept away by storms and waves. Families living in stairwells of schools that we optimistically name as shelters or displacement sites. They're trying to sleep, to find privacy, they can't. And injured people, who were hurt in their struggle just to take something off of passing aid trucks.
A little bit more.
I think there's 3 points that I want to finish with. The first is that we need to take a real look at some of the self-congratulations over aid entering the Gaza Strip these days, let alone the besieged areas. It's very little and it's very late. We see 100 requests rejected, and then we have 1 request actually allowed to go, and then congratulations about how it happens. And then after that, what we have is the UN and NGOs. Hundreds of them are being killed in this war, publicly mocked for not doing enough, for not trying hard enough to do something which we know very well how to do. We have examples of doing it all over the world consistently. As humanitarians, we stand firm against being told where and how we should work in Gaza. We need to get to people wherever they are. We need to prove the impact of this response based on how people are doing and not the numbers of trucks or hospitals. We need to give them what they need. We're obligated in this not just by a shared humanity, but the variety of mandates that the United Nations and NGOs have to meet people's different needs. Simply protect civilians, respect the laws of war. It's not enough. It's important. It's critical. And we've been doing it for 14 months with no avail, to no real impact. And I hope that member states can fulfill their obligations under international humanitarian law, use their leverage to ensure the protection of civilians, to enable adequate and timely aid to people that need it, and to bring about a ceasefire. We have to protect the civilians. We have to release the hostages. We need to see these atrocities end. And we need to see humanitarian workers be allowed to do their job.
Secured nearby so that it doesn't float
Thank you very much, Mr. Petropoulos. I'll now turn the floor over for questions. First question goes to Edith Lederer.
Thank you very much on behalf of the United Nations Correspondents Association for doing this briefing. You said that it looks like the aid system has been weaponized.
I have the
Is this something you've discussed
secured with
the Israeli authorities? And what reasons do they give you for all of these denials?
Let me put
Thank you very much. It's actually my privilege to be here with you today. So we discuss where aid will go and how much aid and what type of aid it is, who's in the car, what kind of car it is, with the Israeli forces every time that we notify them that we're moving somewhere. And most of the time it's denials or some kind of interference in what we bring. The reasons about the denials, what we hear is that for operational reasons you cannot feed people in North Gaza time after time after time. The weaponization of aid is an inference that, if you have the North Gaza governor, the northernmost governor of the Strip, where you're not allowed to bring any food or water, but you're allowed to bring it south of that in Gaza City, and then people are moving south, you have to infer that there's the usage of the aid supply line or the aid delivery system, the last mile of aid, to move people around. And I think we heard it earlier in this briefing today, that people have to be assisted and protected where they choose to stay. Civilians have a right to stay where they are, and all parties of the conflict have a responsibility to protect them and enable humanitarians to service their humanitarian needs.
Satellites on the tracking and data relay satellite system will pick up communications.
Yes, Shudachu with China Central Television. It seemed to me that you have a lot to say on the current situation. But let me ask you, how do you feel when you get hundreds of denials of the entry of humanitarian deliveries into Gaza as a humanitarian worker here? And also,
electrical connector patch panels at two work sites on the Zvezda service module
will
with
this
new units.
situation be changed soon?
Artyom, I'm going to be done with number 3 soon.
It's a question that we ask ourselves very often. How do you keep going? How do you keep asking the same thing? I mean, I think it's a privilege to be a humanitarian worker in Gaza. There's not many of us international staff. Most of the work we do relies on our Palestinian colleagues, the thousands of humanitarian workers that were there before and are still there doing most of the work. We derive a lot of optimism and hope from them.
So first
and I think it's testament that we try day after day the same thing with the same result, because that's the right thing to do. I hope that there will be change, and that's the point that we make about member states leveraging everything they can to say the right things, to get the parties to the conflict to allow us to go where we need to go. But at this point, all we can do is ask. We as humanitarians cannot enforce. We have to be allowed to get to where people are. We know we can. And we have to be given the things with which to help them, whether that is medicine, whether that is a social worker, or someone that has to go and protect the child whose parents were blown up in an airstrike the night before.
So, a follow-up. With UNRWA soon being banned by Israel, will the situation get
My
worse?
connector is HA3, correct?
UNRWA
49U
is the
HA3.
bulk of the response. Millions of people are fed daily because of UNRWA's food supply.
And for me,
more than 15,000 medical consultations every day in the primary healthcare system of Gaza are at UNRWA health points. Thousands of children are in temporary learning sites because of UNRWA. You know, stopping that is going to be a humanitarian catastrophe.
That's going to be floor number 20.
Whether that stoppage has to do with UNRWA, but it's about the thinking of what will that actually do to the people that need food and water and shelter. There's hundreds of sites that used to be schools that are now actually UNRWA sites that have upwards of 230,000 displaced people living in them. And UNRWA make sure that they have what they need every day. That's all going to go away. There's simply no way to replace that.
Thank you. I'm Sherry Fitcherton, and I'm the UN correspondent for Honorable Agency, and I actually cover the daily news of the United Nations, the meetings, and everything here. I've been seeing that recently we are getting relatively less information about the situation in Gaza, and for example, it's not on the immediate agenda of the United Nations Security Council as it used to be in the beginning. So, as someone in the region, I'd like to know if you think the developments in Syria have overshadowed Gaza, and if so, how do you think the international community's, I don't know, loss of attention affect the already dire situation that the Gaza Strip is in?
Is it the one that we need? HAP3.
I listened to Stefan's briefing, and it's going from one disaster to another.
You can thread it underneath the handrail.
You know, there's so many competing humanitarian needs. What I can promise you is that from where we are, we will make sure that the information we make available continues to be frequent. And the volume commensurate to the very acute crisis.
And you need
and I can only hope that it will drive the world to continue to support Gaza. The difference with any other humanitarian crisis or war response is that people simply cannot exit Gaza. I cannot exit Gaza without clearance by the Israeli authorities. Every single thing that we have in Gaza comes because someone outside Gaza, most of the time, the Israeli government decides that it can be in Gaza. So I would say uniquely, maybe uniquely in the world, this response really needs attention. It needs an understanding of exactly how things are in Gaza. And we will make sure that we do our best to get this information to you and through you to the rest of the world.
But you can probably pull it out, the electrical connector from the leader.
One is, we've been hearing from UN officials and many people for months now about the need for a ceasefire. Not weeks, but months. The question to you is, as a humanitarian, how are you preparing for a potential ceasefire? Will you still need to get certain permissions from Israeli authorities? And could they still block
handrail,
aid convoys going in, even in a ceasefire scenario?
Right, so that the cable is not in the way later.
I mean, even before this war began in October last year, Gaza did not get everything that people in Gaza required. There was certainly a limitation to what came in. We've been calling consistently for a ceasefire, and we've also said that even before the ceasefire, the humanitarian system as it is cannot adequately address the needs of people in Gaza. It has to be a humanitarian system and supply parallel to a commercial sector. And having crossings and people coming in and out, especially people going out, the ones that have chronic illnesses or traumatic injury from the war. Now, we call for a ceasefire. We have planning around what we will do with a ceasefire. But again, in the case of a ceasefire, you would expect that the volume of supply and even the volume of medical and humanitarian workers that entered Gaza
it should probably be
work
the
with
same
that
for
increased,
too, right?
hopefully, volume of supply would actually be allowed to increase. I am optimistic that will happen in a ceasefire, and I'm hoping that a ceasefire will actually effectively mean a stoppage to fighting in Gaza, security and safety for people, a respite, a breath there, but also security for our internal movement and a reduction in the constriction and inaccessibility to areas around Gaza, because we will then have to actually get around. So it's a factor of having enough supplies, having enough access, and enough humanitarian workers, visas, registrations, and all of this, constrained environment that's given us to try to address the needs of about 2.1 million people, who will then actually be calling out for this because they said, okay, the fighting has stopped. Now I really need to take care of all of these things that I need to take care of, starting with their health, their family, the economic status of their household. They want to go back to their homes. There's rubber clearance that has to take place. People will be moving around. There's unexploded ordnance. There's so many things that we have actually planned for, but there's all of these things that require things that are outside Gaza to come in at the right time.
This is Mission Control Houston, 2 hours, 37 minutes.
I have a question online from Abdul Hamid.
Just to recap, Alexei Ovchinin and Ivan
Thank you so much. My name is Abdul Hamid Sayan from the Arabic area of
9:36 a.m. Central Time, 10:36 a.m. Eastern Time to begin the 272nd spacewalk in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades. This third spacewalk out of the International Space Station this year is the second for Ovchinin in his career and the first for Ivan Wagner.
There's so many information about
the two cosmonauts working in tandem installed a package containing an X-ray detection experiment
recently they spoke about
called the All-Sky Monitor that was installed on a bracket on the Zvezda service module, and the two cosmonauts are working in tandem to install a series of 4 connector patch panels, new connector patch panels, to warp sites on the service module to replace older versions.
Under armed gangs, as they say.
Once this work is complete, they will press ahead in the vicinity of the Foist module from which they began their spacewalk a little over 2.5 hours ago to remove a series of experiments
UNRWA and UNICEF
and to relocate ultimately at the Naoka multipurpose laboratory module a control panel for the European robotic arm.
Children in these sites.
That European robotic arm will be operated from inside the space station by Alexander Gorbanov to maneuver Ovchinin around. He will be mounted at the end of the robotic arm.
In addition to this,
at the end of the spacewalk today, to jettison a bundle of discarded items from today's
online courses that are being made available to students. So a lot of children actually stay home and try to get on these courses to finish their schooling.
The International Space Station is flying from southwest and northeast over Indonesia at an altitude of 260 statute miles. The other crew members on board the station, the 4 NASA astronauts, Commander Sonny Williams, and flight engineers Nick Hague, Don Pettit, and Butch Wilmore are wrapping up their work for the day. They're in their evening preparations to move into a pre-sleep period that will be followed by them beginning a sleep period near the back end of today's spacewalk.
Communication is not easy. That kind of infrastructure is also subject to the entry of fuel, which is never enough. So actually this is a very big concern. And there's a lot of work going again for planning around this, but we cannot import even the mostly stationary because we have so few trucks that it's not really the priority right now. We can't even get enough flour and ready-to-eat meals for people through the crossings that are available to us. In terms of the criminal gangs and the attacks on our Congress, I just want to be very clear. This looting is criminal in nature, and I can tell you that speaking to people in Gaza, to local people from Gaza, not a single one of them believes that 98 trucks, disappeared into thin air. We don't know where the commodities went, the humanitarian supplies. Most of the trucks and the truckers, the drivers, have made a reappearance. But where these supplies are kept or where they are now, unfortunately, we don't know. And most of the areas in which these lootings happen are under the control of the Israeli forces.
Thank you. Well said.
And last question, Yvonne Murray.
Thanks very much. It's Yvonne Murray here from Ireland's national broadcaster. I just wanted to seek some clarity on one of the points that you made about the trucks entering through, I think, the northern access points, where you said that in some incidents the food had been removed from the trucks, so some of the supplies were allowed in, but they may make a decision that food wasn't allowed. Is that what you were saying? Can you just clarify that? And if that is the case, what happens? Who takes the food off the truck for a start, and then what happens to the food subsequently? Could you please give us some more details? Thanks.
Yes, I'm happy to clarify. So for northern Gaza, so for the two governorates in the north, they're supplied by one crossing called Zeton, or Eres West, and we can, on a good day, get maybe 50-55 trucks from there to Gaza City to warehouses at the United Nations and NGOs. Now, from these warehouses in Gaza City, we consistently request for missions to go to North Gaza government with supplies. Those are consistently denied. This is what I said. There's almost 150 of these denials since early October. Now, there's two ways that this happens. Either the mission is outright denied, in which case we don't even load the trucks. But then we have other instances where the World Health Organization and OCHA and a couple of other organizations want to go to one of the hospitals to take some food, fuel, medicine, and even rotate surgeons in. Then the Israeli forces will say, okay, the mission is fine to go, but remove the food. Or today remove the fuel. Or you can go, but not the surgeons. So there is this pick and choose that comes to it. And we have actually had also incidents where our UN vehicles that were approaching North Gaza and approaching these hospitals were stopped at Israeli checkpoints. The cars were subject to search, and even the food and water that we keep in the back as emergency supplies for the crews of these cars were taken away by the Israeli soldiers. And we have protested, but this has happened actually several times. So that is kind of, I hope this answers your question.
All right, I am
in terms of the way that we get food in through the crossings into northern Gaza, but then are not able to get it to North Gaza government.
I think that's it for questions. So I would like once more to thank our guest, Yorgos Petropoulos, the head of OCHA's sub-office in Gaza. Thanks very much.
Can I ask one more question?
Okay, keep it quick, Chris.
It's very quick. Have you met or contacted Sheikh Khalid Nabhan, the old man who carried his granddaughter, and he said, "This soul, my soul," and he just been recently killed? His picture went viral all over the world. Can you tell us a little bit more how he was killed, and if you have personal contact with him?
I'm sorry to say I was not able to meet him. A number of aid workers that I know were. They speak highly of him, and they say that he's a man that wishes for peace. And unfortunately, he's another victim of this war. And that's all I can say. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for your briefing, and have a good day. Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, Ivan, wrap up with the imagery and start translating. Where is it?
Константине осталось 10 минут.
And sunrise is in 10 seconds. It's not quite clear what it's holding on to with Velcro here. Maybe a wire tie or something. Well, this wire tie is just like tied around and that's it. Honestly, do whatever works. And press on. There is a wire tie that I can connect to or secure to if you have no objections. And to the handrail. Copy.
Может, не мучиться от руки сначала затянуть, а потом уже Иван будет тебя догонять.
Well, maybe you can tighten the covers and then Ivan is going to be coming right after you. Well, I put it here, but it escaped from the Lirka. All right, I am done with connect the panel, and I'm moving on to number 20. Okay, with number 20. What's the goal here? You need to secure number 23, the one that's on MP right now. So you want number 23 with Lirka, right? Correct. Artyom, I put it into the first holder, and I am moving towards panel 12. How is it? Hot. So, unintelligible SP23. Okay, now work with connected 26.2. correction, 20-2. All right. 22, right? Correct. So it's going to be -22, -20-2. All right, I have it connected. Do you see? No, we don't. So, because of your right hand. Let me try and move the camera a little bit. What about now? Okay, we see it. And okay, try showing it to us from the other side. So, 2 to 22. Okay, good. So you have the Lirka clip. Unintelligible. Do you want me to remove it as well? Yes, you need to remove the panel. You need to photograph the panel. Okay, we can just go with the GoPro. And you can see the all the connectors. The other thing is that you don't need to rush, guys. Could you repeat your last? Do not rush. We are verifying that the connectors are made it correctly. Copy. So for connector number 3, do you see, are you getting anything?
Connector meeting? It is warming up.
Пока еще не включали осмотр, но опрос прикрепил.
All right.
Вань, сейчас тебе надо
Иван,
подумать, как снимать защитные чехлы.
Right now you have to figure out how to remove the protective covers. Moscow is coming in very low. Well, we're going to figure it out once we see it, once we get to it. The tether is attached there already, so we'll try it.
Ну, можно сейчас свои файлы размещать уже для подготовки к выполнению этой операции.
You can position the tethers now to set up for these operations. So I have to close up that plate here, not to go back to this task. Let me just inaudible. I'm going to remove it. Okay, copy.
Сейчас начнем крутить солнечные батареи для вашего перехода
And
предполагаемого на 4-ю плоскость.
you're gonna start transiting to plane 4 soon, and we'll also start solar area ops for that. Okay. Well, the inaudible is here. I have removed everything. I'm going to close out the MOI now. Coffee.
Так, я завел во второй задержатель.
And it is entered into the second cable clamp, and it is secured now. Copy. Alexei, I have a proposal for you. Do not insert any more cable holders now. Instead, you can start connector mating for plate 12. And then you're going to do the cable clamps operations, and Ivan will start removing the covers. All right, copy. All right, so the connector patch panel is covered now.
This is Mission Control Houston, approaching the 3-hour mark in today's spacewalk by Alexei Ovchinin and Ivan Wagner. You see them operating together along the Zvezda service module just under the solar array, one of the 2 solar arrays on Zvezda. They are in the home stretch of installing the 4th of 4 connector patch panels, brand new panels, to replace older versions, and hooking up all of the various cables and clamps that will hold those connector panels in place. Once that's complete, Wagner intends to remove protective covers from a device called a monoblock. That's essentially a container that was installed earlier in today's spacewalk on Zvezda that houses a payload named the All-Sky Monitor. That payload will detect, record, and downlink X-ray celestial information, a science experiment, basically an astronomical type of experiment, to collect data on X-ray sources.
My hooks, I don't think I can reach here. I don't think it's going to work. Copy.
The International Space Station is flying just to the south of Alaska, about to begin a northwest to southeasterly course that will carry it across Northern California and the western United States. Again, we're at the 3-hour mark in today's spacewalk by Ovchinin and Wagner. This is the 272nd spacewalk in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades. The first for Expedition 72, the second for Ovchinin, the first spacewalk in Ivan Wagner's career.
I can see that you are near connector patch panel number 12. Yes, I am near panel 12. We need connector 49 to 3. It is covered with a cap. We're going to have to uncap it. Stand by. Let me unbundle it first. Is there going to be a lot of cable slack? What do you mean? Slug? Did you say cable slug? Yes. Is there a lot of slack?
Наблюдаю, большая. Но тут еще...
Yes, I see. There is a lot, but you're going to use the shortest path, and I think you're going to have to make another loop.
Леш, у тебя кабель немножко перекрутился.
Alexei, your cable got tangled up a bit. Make sure it is not kinked or anything. No, everything is fine with it. Actually, just unbundle it. Please be careful with it. All right.
Хотел что-то переделать там.
Are you trying to redo something? Well, I'm gonna have to. I would like to tighten this cable. Alright, so I am here, the panel's open, and I need which connector?
49UH3, он по идее на тебя смотрит.
49UX3, you should be facing it. Is it this one?
Сейчас засветка от солнца.
This somewhere now. Yes, it's that one. 49U-X3. Yes, please tether the cap. Make sure it is tight. It is tied up to the wire tie. Okay, so you can uncap it and you can keep the cap there as it is. Copy.
3 hours and 6 minutes into today's spacewalk, Ovchinin and Wagner continue their work to wrap up the installation of a series of connector patch panels on the Zvezda service module. They're going to be closing out that work before long, and we'll be moving back to stow some of the equipment at the hatchway to the Poisk airlock before proceeding on for their next task, which will be the removal of several exposure experiments that have housed material science and biological sample experiments over the past several years.
Artem, how exactly are we supposed to tie the covers?
То есть мы их скомкаем и...
To the plates? So are we gonna just bundle them and attach them to the plates?
По сути, как полотенце подвязываем, вот аналогичная схема.
You're gonna do the same as what we do with the towels, same configuration. Okay, I copy that. So the connector is mated. Copy, Alexei. Stand by for connection verification, and please take photographs with the JUICE camera. Make sure that you don't take photographs of the patch panel only, but of MRAM2 as well. Location that where you're at right now, just for us to check its condition, make sure it's good. Alright, so I'm going to take photographs or videos of the connector, MRAM2, and the plate. And you can take photographs of Ivan too. If you can see the collimators from your position, please take a picture or video of them too. All right. No, I don't think I can get them. We're going to capture collimators once we go around the EKTS command and telemetry system. Copy. I'm going to open the cover now. Artem, stand by one, please. Yes, we still need to verify the connection. Ivan, you'll go to remove the cover, and please start with the one that's farthest from you. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, the cover that was farthest from me is removed. Copy, that's great news. Make sure that you tether the second one, remove it, and then you're going to tie them up together.
Можно его adjustable застраховать.
You can use an adjustable tether to tether it, and you can pull on it. I'm going to use the same hook to tether it. Are you sure that it's not going to come off? And I mean the hook that's on cover 1. It shouldn't.